Hello friends, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. And today's video is one of the important skills you should know if you're stepping into an IT field, or if you're already working in an IT field as a developer, DevOps, SRE, or infrastructure monitoring engineer, or a sysadmin. And this skill is called as a Linux/Unix shell scripting. Today's video we are going to walk through what is the Linux shell scripting, why we need it, what are the advantages of having the Linux shell scripting, and at the same time we are going to walk through a demo of certain basic Linux commands which will help you to debug your production issue or do your day-to-day stuff into SIT environment, UAT, or be it a production support environment. So without any delay, let's get started with this video. So friends, let's start our first session on Linux shell scripting fundamentals. And in today's video, I'm going to basically, as mentioned, we are going to discuss what is shell scripting, the types of shell scripting, benefits of shell scripting, what is bash scripting, and more important, the basic Linux command which is needed from your day-to-day operations perspective. So let's learn what is shell scripting. In simplest terms, a shell script is a file containing a series of commands. The shell provides user with an interface and accepts a human-readable commands into the system and executes those commands which can run automatically and give the program's output in a shell script. So in short, it is nothing but a terminal where it has a shell installed on it, and whenever you type any command it gets executed. And that's what we are going to see a demo session of that in the upcoming slides. Moving to the next one, we are going to talk about what are the types of shell scripting you should know if you are trying to learn the shell scripting. So the first one is the bash, and it's called as Bourne shell. The Bourne shell is the original Unix shell called command interpreter developed at AT&T Lab. The next one is KSH, which we call as a Korn shell script, and the KSH stands for the Korn. The Korn shell was developed by the David Korn many more years before the bash shell, and it merges all the features of the shell, Bourne shell, and the C shell. We will see this in the upcoming demo. The next one we have a shell script which is called as CSH. As the name suggests, it's basically a command interpreter, and it has taken the syntax inspired by the C programming language. The next one we have is ZSH, or people call it as Z shell, and it's an extended version of our bash or a Bourne shell, and it has all the features of bash, KSH, and TCSH. The last one, which is known as TSH or a T shell, or people call it as a turbo C shell, it's most likely with it resembles the same thing as the C shell, but it's a revised version of C shell. Moving to the next one, we will understand what are the benefits of learning the shell scripting and why we need it. So the first thing why you need the shell script is the task automation. Say you're executing the frequent tasks like archiving the old files and checking the log files for frequent errors and other stuff, which you can easily automate by writing a small shell script. Second thing is system monitoring, which is an important aspect whenever you are monitoring any production environment, and it relates to your CPU utilization, disk space utilization, and many more. The third one is it's easy to use. All you need to know the certain commands, and then you can use it while writing a shell script. And the fourth one, it is portable. It can be used in any Linux or Unix flavors of operating systems. Let's understand what are the benefits of shell scripting. The first thing is reusability. Suppose if you have written a shell script which does an archiving of the log files for a particular file system, you can basically use the same script. All you need to do is change the path of the file system where it's going to archive the log files. You do not need to rewrite the whole code again, and that's what it is termed as reusability. The second one is readily available. So the shell scripts commands are readily available, so you can use it while writing your shell script. Easy to learn. You do not need to do much more brainstorming. It's a simple language and anyone can learn it. The fourth one is the easier debugging. So that's where it, with the help of few commands, you can easily debug any of the production issues related to your log failures, system application failures, or any other thing. So every command is available and it's given by the shell script. Moving to the next one is what is bash scripting. So let's understand that the bash is a command language interpreter that processes the shell commands. A shell interpreter takes the command in a plain text format and calls the operating system services to do something. For an example, when you type ls command on the terminal, it will basically list the files and folders in a directory. So we will see this in the upcoming demo, which I'm going to show you in next few minutes. But let's continue with the next paragraph. In simple words, a bash shell script is a plain text file containing a set of various commands that we usually type in the command line. Bash script is a computer program written in the bash programming language. Is bash scripting same as a shell scripting? The answer is no. The shell script sh was the original Unix shell developed by the Stephen Brown, and the bash script are not the same. So in simple term, it is the bash scripting is not same as uh, sh. The bash has some advanced features in it. The shell scripting is a scripting in any shell, whereas the bash scripting is a scripting specifically for the bash. The important point to note here is that not all bash commands will work in sh, but all sh commands will work in bash. As I mentioned, it's the advanced version of sh. Bash will have its own command as well as you can execute all the commands which you are executing using sh. I hope you got an understanding of why we need the shell scripting and what are the benefits of shell scripting. Now, let's move to a demo where I'm going to walk through about certain basic Linux commands which you should know while you're learning the shell scripting. So, let's get started. So, friends, to learn the shell scripting, you need to have a terminal, and for that, you need to install something called as a MobaX terminal. And this application is nothing but a tool which will make your local machine act as an terminal where you can execute the Linux slash Unix command. So let's get started by clicking on start our local terminal. The moment you click on that, the terminal window gets open and it takes you to the parent directory which is named as home moba x term. That's our parent directory. Now you wanted to know what kind of operating system this MobaX term is using. To know that, you need to type a command called as uname, and then as soon as you type the command, you get an output of sigwin underscore NT 10.0. So here our operating system is Cygwin, which is nothing but a tool where it gives you an experience of executing the Linux slash Unix commands on the Microsoft Windows platform, and that's what it is. Now, I wanted to know the more details about this, and to know that you need to simply type a command called as uname minus a, and this gives you the detailed stuff of it. A stands for all. So in our case, we have something called as a Cygwin operating system. The host name is desktop. The kernel version is this, when it was released, what is the machine name, and the operating system, right? That's what. Now I wanted to know the machine name. Uname minus m gives me the machine name, and in our case the machine name is i686. Now you do not need to remember all these arguments, or say if you forgot some of the arguments, like Windows, we have something called as a man, which is acting as a help page for you, where it gives you what is that specific command doing and what are the options available while executing that command. All you need to do is type man and the name of the command. In our case, let's understand what does uname means and what are the options available for us to pass as an argument when we type a command uname on our terminal. The moment I type that, you see it opens a page where it says what is the name of uname. What is the functionality of the uname? So it says prints the system information, what all options I have. As I mentioned, minus a stands for all. Then if you want to know the kernel name, minus s, node name, minus n, kernel release, version, machine, processor, hardware platform, operating system, and couple of other examples. So this way you don't need to remember each and every argument. If you get stuck somewhere, you have a helper page called as man. To come out of this, you just need to type Control C and you are back to the terminal. Let's clear the screen. Now you might be thinking, how is Shell understanding these commands? So there is something called as an etc bin, where it has all the binaries, all the executable commands, which helps the shell to interpret that. And to know that, you need to go to etc bin. Bin stands for library. I guess we do not have that. There is another library called as cd bin, where all your binary or executable files are there. To know, to list the executable files, you need to type ls minus l, and that's where you get the list of commands. Let's wait for a minute to get down list. And here, if you see, we have all the libraries or executable libraries, which helps the shell to execute that library whenever you type a command, ls, uname, or whatever. Let's see. Um, so I wanted to know whether I have ls or not. So if you see, I have executed something called as ls minus l pipe grep, and I have searched for ls command. I will explain you what is grep in Unix, but as of now, let's just focus and see whether the shell has the executable file. So when you type a command ls on a terminal, it goes to the shell, and shell basically interprets that command and then executes the library to it. And we see that we have a executable library called as ls and ls.exe. So this library gets executed, or this executable file gets executed when you type ls on your terminal. I hope you got an understanding how does shell interprets the command which you're typing. Say tomorrow if you just type ABC, or let's type ABCD. So this is not a command, right? Because it's not able to find an executable file for that. If you want to search, let's see. ls grep ABC. Sorry. See, we did not got any output. That means ABC is an invalid command, or shell is not having an executable file, or shell is not able to understand what that command is. I hope you got an idea how the shell interprets the command when you type on the terminal. Let's clear the screen. Now let's move to another command called as cd. As the name suggests, cd is nothing but a change directory. Now I want to move from bin directory to my home directory. All I need to do is type cd slash home, and that's where we are now in our home directory, which is cd, which is slash home. Now I wanted to know the list of directories or list of files present under this home directory, which is nothing but our current directory. And one more thing, to know your current directory you need to type a command called as pwd, which is nothing but a parent working directory. So the moment we type ls minus l, as I mentioned, ls is nothing but the command which lists you the list of files and directories in your current directory, and l is nothing but a long listing. So moment I type that, I see there are two directories. If you see d here, d stands for directory. So I have two directories called as din S and a MOBA X term. So let's go to the MOBA X term directory, and here we are. And once I have typed that, now I want to know what all files are there in that directory, ls minus l. And I see that we have three folders or three directories called as desktop, launcher folder, and my documents. Also there are certain more arguments which you can pass along with ls, or I would say the options. Tomorrow I wanted to know what are the hidden files present under this parent directory. All I need to do is type ls minus a, and ls minus sorry ls minus a, and if you see we get the hidden directories. All the hidden directories in unix have something called as dot in front of them, and that's why they are hidden. And to know the long listing of hidden files, ls minus l and then a, and that's what it gives you now, right? If you just type ls, it just gives you the list of files with their names, right? And that's what the ls purpose is. But I want to know the long listing hidden files, and that's what we have now. Tomorrow I wanted to know what are the files which are modified last time, okay, or the having the latest timestamp. All I need to do is ls minus l and t gives you the timestamp when was the last folder modified, or the file modified, or a directory modified, right? And here in our case we have the first modified file was launcher folder, then we have my documents and the desktop. If you remember, right, if we type ls minus l, you get first desktop, then launcher folder, then my documents, right? You do not get the um, directories or the list of files in which were last modified or changed, right? So that's what the difference is between when you execute ls minus lt and ls minus l. I hope you got an understanding of what is ls command, right? And if you want to know the more options available for ls, all you need to type is our favorite command, which is man ls, which is our helper page. And the moment you type that, it opens a window, right? As I mentioned, right? So you have you have certain commands like ls minus d, which gives you the directory specific listing. If you want to know the file, then you have minus f, then you have minus m, which is the list of files which are separated by comma. Minus l, long listing format, right? Tomorrow if you want to know the list of files which are in kilobytes, then minus k helps you with that human readable file, right? Let's see this option. Let me clear the screen. ls minus LH. So if you see, when you type ls minus LH, H is nothing but a human readable file. So if you see here something total 3 K. So in all these directories, combination of the file size, or I would say the total file size or size of these three folders are holding is 3.0 K, which is kilobytes, right? ls minus k, which gives, sorry, ls minus l k, right? We saw that option, right? K means kilobytes, and that's what it has given. When you type ls minus l, you do not, you also see that an option, but that's how it is more human readable. I would say the format when you type ls minus l h. Now let's move to another command. So friends, let's create our first directory, and in that directory we'll create a file, and let's see what all commands we can use to create a directory, create a file, copy a file, rename a file, and couple of other commands. So let's create our first directory. And to create a directory, you need to know the command called as mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory, and we are going to create a directory or make a directory called as demo. The moment I type that, I see the demo directory is created. And if you want to know what is mkdir command, our favorite command is man mkdir, and it gives you what all options you can use with the command called as mkdir. Right? I hope you got an understanding of it. Now let's change our directory to demo. And as if you see, this demo directory is now empty. That's why it's showing total 0. Now let's create our first file using a command called as touch. Touch demo.txt. The moment I type this command, a file is created which is of a 0 byte, which you see here, and it is created with a timestamp 1532 March 27. Okay, so now let's write something into that file, right? There are two things you can use while writing into a file. Either you can open a file or you can use a command called as echo. Let's first open a file and write in that. To open a file in a view mode or a readable or a editable mode, you need to type a command called as vi and the name of the file. And in our case, the name of the file is demo.txt. The moment you type that, the vi editor gets open and you are into the file. But now you need to write something into the file, and to write that, there is a command called as insert. All you need to do is on your keyboard type I. The moment you type I, it goes into an insert mode, and now you can write whatever you want to write in the file. So let's write this is our first demo file creation. And the moment I have typed this, now I want to come out of this file, and I want to make sure that I have saved all the changes. All you need to do is click on escape on your keyboard, you are now into escape mode. You have come out of the insert mode, and now you need to use shift command colon and WQ. WQ means save all my changes. Q means quit. W means save all the work changes, right? And moment I type this, now I am outside of that demo.txt. Let's see whether what we have written is really got saved or not. To see the file, you can use two commands. One is cat and one is view. So let's use view demo.txt, and we see that this is our first demo file creation. So whatever we have written, it is written into file, and you see it is in read only mode. To come out from the view mode, you need to again type escape shift colon and q. Q means queue the changes and come out. And to see the content of the file without entering into a vi mode, there is a command called as cat demo.txt. The cat is nothing but it's it's nothing but the content of the file. To see the content of the file, you need to type cat, right? In Windows we use open or open and the file name, and it gets open, and then that's right. Now you want to instead of using vi, right, let's directly without opening the file in vi editor, let's write into a file by using a command called as echo. And we'll write, this is my first file created using echo command. And to write into the file, okay, without modifying it, or let's append the our echo whatever we have given into the file without overriding it, right? So there is something called as two greater signs, which means that you're appending into the file, and which is our demo.txt. And if you now see, our echo command has been successfully executed, and it has basically written the content into the file. That means it has appended. Now let's override this content, right? So to override the content, there is a simple way to do it. So let's write echo, this is our first this is our demo file created by Dinesh. Okay, and greater than sign, and all you need to do is the file name, right? The moment I type this, and now if I use cat.txt, you see the content has been overridden and the new content has been inserted in the file. Doesn't this seems to quite interesting? And it gives you a easy way to write the content in the file without opening it in vi mode. I hope you like this couple of commands. Let's move to the next command. So friends, before we start with a demo of creating a directory and the file, let's understand something very important from the file permissions, right? So whenever you create a file or directory under Unix or Linux server, it is created with a default set of permissions, and that is done by using, and that default set permission is set accordingly using a command called as umask. So umask is nothing but a command which will tell you what all permissions you will have to your file and directories whenever you create them. The default permission for the file is 666, which I'm going to explain you what that 66 stands for. And the default permission of the directory is 777. So let me explain you what is that 66 and 77. Okay, so 0 stands for no permission, which is an octal value. 1 stands for execute permission, which is donated by X. 2 stands for something called as a write, which is donated by W. And 4 stands for read access, which is donated by R. And if we combine this total 1 plus 2 plus 4, it is 7. That means you will have execute, write, and read access. I hope you got an understanding of how what are the permissions or what are the octal value sets for each permission, right? So now in our case, we have something umask has 002, right? Which is this. So the default permission, as I mentioned, for the file is 666, right? So 666. So that means if I combine if I combine 4 plus 2, that is default access would be read and write, right? That's what it is, right? Read plus write, right? So using umarks, what we are trying to do is 6 minus 002. Okay, sorry, it would be, let's see what was the umax value. So umax value was 022, right? So we have the umax value here, and the default permission for the files, we have default permission for files. We have 77 as default permission for directories. So in our case, whenever we create a file, we will have a permission of 644 for the files, because umarks is set to 022, and where you can set this umarks, I'm going to show you that as well. 7 minus 022, which is, so the default permission for the uh, new directories created, new files, would be 755 new created directories. So in Unix, okay, we have something called as a owner who has created the file, okay, or who is the owner of that file system. User, who has, u means user who is created the file. G means group. User and owner are one and the same, but that's what. And we have something called as O means others. Okay. So whenever you created a file, you will see something called as R dash R R. Right. This means user slash owner has read access. Okay. Group has read access, and others means world has read access. So we have user slash owner, okay, and then we have group, and then we have others, or people say as well. So user might be belonging to certain group. Okay, definitely user or owner would be belonging to certain group, right? So that's where it is. I hope you got an understanding of what are these permissions related, right? So in our case, if you see, whenever we created the file, okay, it has a default permission which is rw r. That means the user has read and write, which is 6, okay, r, which is 4, 644, and the others, which is r, again 4, right? And whenever we created a directory, we had 755. Remember, RWXR. That means the user had all the permissions read, write, execute. The group had only read and execute permission. And the last one was again the 5, which is read and execute permission. I hope you got an understanding of what it exactly is. The default permissions whenever you create a new file or the directory. Now let's write our first content into the file. To write the content into file, there are two options. Either you can use a vi editor, where you can basically open a file, edit it, and write the content. And there is another command called as echo. As name suggests, echo, it will print, like in c in C or Java, we have a print command, right? Here also in Unix, we have something called as a echo command, which basically prints whatever you have written into the file. So let's get that one by one. So we have something called as a vi test.txt. The vi editor window opens, and to you have just opened the vi editor, but you don't have permissions to write, right? So okay, so to get into an inserted mode, you need to write, you need to click or type I, so that you get into an inserted mode in the vi editor, and now you can write. This is our first demo file. Once you have written this, now you want to save this, right, content. And how can you do that? Come by typing skip. So you are now out of your insert mode, and now you want to save the content of this file. So all you need to do is type, type shift colon wq. That means queued with saving the changes in the file, or come out from the vi editor with the all changes whatever I have saved, or whatever I have written, right? So now to see the content of the file, there is a command called as cat, and you see that our whatever we have written in the file, it is saved, right? Now let's use the another command called as echo, right? And let's uh, get it into the file. Demo file creation. Now you want to basically append this, print whatever you're writing in echo to the file test.txt, and to append that, there you need to use two greater signs, and that's where you basically append it after the first line you have written, right? Let's see that. Test.txt, and if you see our line, whatever we have written in the echo statement or printed has been written into the file after our first line. Now you want, there would be a situation where you want to override a file, right? And to do that, all you need to do is echo this is override return file, and you need to write greater than sign and test.txt. Now let's see the content of the file. If you see, it has been overridden whatever the previously we have written in the file, right? Doesn't this seems to be quite interesting to learn the shell scripting and to make your day-to-day tasks easier? We will be going through some more commands now. So friends, let's move to another important command in Unix, and it is called as a grep command. So the grep command is basically used to search for a specific string in a particular file, or I would say a specific pattern in a file. So let's do that. Okay, so let's type ls minus lp, and we have file called as text.txt and touch1.txt. So let's search for a pattern called as first in the files, right? So grep first, I want to know what all files are containing a pattern called as first, right? So there is a command called as a grep minus L first, and you do star. So it gives you the list of files where the first string has occurred or a particular pattern has occurred. Now let me count how many times this first pattern has occurred. So let's do control C, right? Sorry, minus C. Okay, so it gives you the count of how many times the first has occurred in which files. So in demo 1 we have 0, test.txt we have 2, touch1.txt we have 0. Now I want to search for line number where the first has occurred. All I need to do is grep minus n, and gives you the line number and the file name in which the first has occurred, right? So it's text.txt line number 2, text.txt line number 3. Okay, similarly, I want to search for a word called has doing, whether it has occurred a capital letter or in a small letter, but I want to know which file is having that. All I will do is minus I doing and star, and if you see, it gives me the file called as txt.txt in which we have the doing keyword, whether it's in a capital letter, whether it's in the small letter. But there would be a scenario where you need the file to be where you need the string to be only in capital letters. You do not want the string, whether it's in a small letter or a capital letter, but you need the line which is having only the capital letter doing in it. So how can you do that? It's a simple minus w, and that's what it gives you. Grep minus w is nothing but it matches the whole word or a whole pattern in the file and gives you that matching line. There would be a scenario where you do not want, let's say for an example, there is a scenario where you do not want the lines where the pattern is first matched in it, right? So there is a command called as grep minus v first and the name of the file, right? So it gives you all the lines where the first pattern is not found, right? Or I would say it gives you all the line except where the first pattern is not there, right? So that's what are some of the important grep commands which you should know while you're searching for a specific string in a file, right? I hope this give you a better understanding. Right now, let's go to our next important command, which is called as find command. So find command basically helps you to basically search for a specific pattern, uh, which you're looking in your current directory, right? So I want to find the list of files which are ending with txt, right? And for that, I will write find my dot is the current directory minus name double quotes star.txt, because I want to search all the files which are ending with txt, right? And minus type f. F is nothing but a file. There is another thing called as d, type d. D is nothing but a directory, but in our case, we need the list of files, right? So we'll do this, and then you have an optional minus print, right? So let's type that, and you see we got all the files which are ending with txt, right? So test.txt, touch1.txt, demo1.txt. Now there would be a scenario, now you have find the files, but in that files you want to search for a pattern called as first, right? So the same command in Unix, if you want to combine two commands together, you need to use the pipe symbol. So what this pipe symbol does is the output of the first command which is executed will be an input to the second command. So in our case, we have used the find command which have given us the list of files. Now we want to search the specific pattern first in those files, right? So there is a command called as xrs grep, we know, okay? We will search for first, right? And let's see whether we get an output or not. And here is what we got an output, and it gives an output test.txt. This is the first script demo. This is my first file created. I was doing demo. I hope you got the understanding of how to use the find command with a grep command, right? Now, one of the common scenarios where we face is we want to delete the files which are created 1 day old or 24 hours earlier or etc. So let's create some dummy files, and let's try to utilize that find command, right? So let me create touch2.txt, touch3.txt, touch4.txt. So I've created three files. Let me touch my. So if I want to change the timestamp of a particular file, right? So there is a command called as touch minus t. T is the timestamp, right? So touch minus t, and we use 2020 03026, and we use something 1900, which is the timestamp, right? So this is the month, then you followed by the hours and minutes, and we use touch3.txt. Okay, so if you see, now the timestamp have touch.txt has changed to 26. Now let's modify the timestamp of touch 4, right? And let me put it as 25. Okay, now if we see, we have touch 3 for 26, touch 4 for 24 or 25, and touch 1 also for 25, right? uh, Let me change touch 4 to 24. This is just for a demo purpose. Forgot the double quotes. So now we have file touch 2 for 27, touch 3, and touch 4. So now let's list down the files which are uh, modified 24 hours ago, or which have been modified between now and today, right? Or we'll see certain, right? So there is something called as a find dot m, minus name. I will search just minus m type. When I type 0 here, what do you think the output would be? Okay, so let's see. So if you see, we have got the output something which we were expecting, right? So 0 is nothing but it gives you the files which are greater than 24 hours ago, right? So that's one thing. If I type here plus 0, that means it will give me the list of files which are older than 24 hours, right? Or which have already passed 24 hours. Okay. One more thing. Let's get more into it, right? So if I type, I want to know the list of files which are 1 day old or 1 day um, which are 1 day old, right? So, sorry. So we have this one, right? 1900, right? Which is 1 day old, right? 2 days old, if you want, then you need to type here 2, right? You get this, right? Because we created the file, right? So that's where it is. Now let me type plus 1, right? So when I type plus 1, it gives me the list of files which are modified more than 48 hours ago. And in our case, we have 25 and 24, right? So now let's delete the file which are 24, which are 48 hours ago modified, or I would say more than 2 days kind of thing, right? So x hours minus, so all you need to do is get this, and there is a command called as exerm, which is to remove the directory. So in quotes, opening curly brackets, opening close, I would say forward slash or a backward slash, whatever. And then I type this. And if you see, the files are gone, right? So we have 25 and 24 files gone because those were modified 48 hours ago. Now, if you only want to delete the file of tomorrow, which is 26, all I need to do is type here plus 0. And sorry, oh, it got removed. Sorry, because I executed the same thing. And if you see, the 26 file is gone, right? Similarly, I want to basically list down the files which are less than 24 hours, right? So let me put X ask here, and we get the list of files which are just um, modified 24 hours only, right? So that's how the find command helps us to get the list of files which you want to delete according to the requirement. There is another argument with the file. Okay, if you want to list the files which are modified in 5 minutes, so there is something called as m minute, and type f, where MMI should be there. Okay, we forgot it to mention 5 here, right? So we don't have anything 5 minutes. Let's see, we have something 1 minute. Okay, which are modified 0. No, we don't have anything. Let me. Hmm, how much is that? touch 2. Mm, So if you see this command, what I've done is I want to list down the files which modified 15 minutes ago. So if you see, I typed the date command, right? And in date it was 723, and the touch2 file which we created was and 1916, right? So it is already past 15 minutes, right? So that's where if I want to know the list of files which are modified 15 minutes ago, I will use m minute, right? I hope you got a better understanding of how to use the find command. There are many other, if you want to know the more depth of how to use the find command, then our best is the man find, where you get the understanding of what all parameters you can use with the find command. So, so I would request you to go through this. It will help you to get the understanding of it. Let's move to the next command. So, friends, one of the important things you should know is the certain commands which are related to disk space, disk utilization, um, and we are going to basically touch base that, right? So, one of the important command is df minus h, and what does df minus h gives is the disk free space available on your Linux server, right? Tomorrow, if you want to know in kilobytes, you can use df minus k. If you want to know in megabytes, df minus m. Okay, if you want to know the uh, all the file system including the dummy file system, df minus a. That's one thing. If you want to know the utilization of your current file system, then is there is something called as du minus s. S is for summary, h is for human readable, and then you go to your system. If you see, this gives me the list of file system subdirectories as well under home slash mobax term. Now I want this to be in the sorted format. I will use sort minus n, which is in the ascending format. Tomorrow I want the total cumulative of this. So there is something called as du minus c. C is nothing but a cumulative total space. It gives you how much file system is occurring, right? So those are the few things which you need to know. That's what I would say. Now moving to another important command which you need to know is related to the memory. So there would be a scenario where you want to check what how much is your swap memory, right? And that's where you can basically use a command called as swipe on minus s. I guess this command is not there, so we can use something called as a free minus m. M is its m is nothing but a memory, right? So it gives you the swap memory. So how much total swap memory I have, how much is utilized, how much is used. So that's what it basically gives me. So now there would be a scenario where you want to listen to, I want to check out how many ports are listen, how many ports are not listening. So there is a command called as netstat minus a. So this gives me all the active connections which are listening to what port. So it gives you the protocol TCP, it can be UDP, local address, foreign address, what is the status, what is the status of it. Tomorrow you are just interested to know the TCP ports. All you need to do is netstat minus a t. T means TCP. If I am looking for UDP, I will type something called as U. So, okay, wait. I guess yes, but I guess we do not have any UDP ports here, so that's what. Tomorrow I want only the listening pair ports to be displayed. Netstats minus L. So which is again not an option here. Uh, but netstat minus L gives you the list of uh, listening ports, right? Uh, this if I type, let me type T. It's not display the protocols and the current. Okay, anyway, so those are the certain options you need to know while you're doing that. One more, I guess that's one thing. Um, then there is an important command called as top command, which gives you the list of top processes running on your machine, and you can use you can type top and it gives, let's wait for a minute, and if you see it now displaces me the process name, the process id, the ppid, which is parent process id. PID is the parent. I hope by now you would have got an idea of why to learn shell scripting and what are the advantages of learning the shell scripting. In the upcoming video sessions, we are going to basically discuss or write small shell scripts which will help you to automate your day-to-day stuff. So stay tuned, and if you have liked this video, kindly do comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because your suggestion definitely help me to improve the content on my YouTube channel by creating such videos. Until then, take care. Bye bye.